So to get the primary clutch off, what you want to use is a small bar, a big screwdriver works. The biggest thing is when you put it through the clutch, you want to go through and make sure it rests on the outside edge of the towers. So you're not going on this part here where this button slide up and down, because if you damage that, you'll wreck your buttons when it starts moving. So just put it in there so it stays in place, or you can have somebody hold it. Make sure if you do hold it on something that you're not going to wreck any brake lines or wires or anything up there. And then just loosen it up. So this one's a little bit different than, again, most of the Polarises. It's going to have a T60 bolt in here to pull out. Once you pull that out, then there's a little collar in here, and when you pull this out, this is the outer shaft of the clutch. There's two washers that'll drop out of there. This one's got quite a bit of dirt in there. A lot of times you want to blow it out ahead of time. But when you pull this collar out, two washers will fall out, and try to pay attention how they go in there. And then, I don't think you'll be able to see them until they come out of there, but you get stuck a little bit. So these are the two washers that come out. They might, if you don't pay attention, they might roll out or whatever, and then you'll need them to put them back together. When you put the clutch back together, they'll go like this. The other thing we've done in this machine, we've had this one apart quite a few different times, is there's an O-ring on these now from Polaris, which really, it helps to hold this plate in place, but it makes it really hard to get it out. If you can't pull the shaft out, you don't want to grab onto it with a pliers or anything like that, because if you mar up this surface here, your bushing rides over that and you can wreck your cover bushing here. So the best thing to do then is have somebody push in on it, take your cover bolts out equally and hold it square, and then pull your spring out. Once your spring, or once this cover is off, you can pull your spring out, then you can grab onto this and pull it out. We ran ours without the O-ring and haven't seen any issues. I think they do it just to help hold everything together when they end there. So that's up to you if you want to reuse it or not. But then what you want to do is with your spring out, you don't need to put your spring back in, but put your cover plate back on, so it helps support these towers when you go to take the clutch off. Before you pull the clutches apart or off the machine, take a little marker or a magic marker and just mark an X on them straight across from each other on the two clutch shafts. Another thing different on this style clutch is, in a perfect world, right now you should be able to pull that whole clutch half off. It's on a spline shaft. It's not held together like the old style clutches are. So sometimes you get them off. What we found is by the time they get dirty, corroded and all that, a lot of times they don't want to come apart. It's easier and better just to pull a whole clutch off. But that way when you put them back together, you can align them correctly for balancing and stuff like that. So then what you want to do is, you got your shaft out of there. You thread your puller in. This is a PCP-24, a new puller for a lot of the machines. And you thread this in. And we're going to basically just tighten this up so it'll keep tightening, pull it so the clutch off. We'll have to put our shaft in here, or a bar in here, so it catches a little different. You know, sometimes it just slides right off, sometimes it'll make a big popping noise, but it does take a little bit of effort. So now it's coming off. This one didn't make a big pop, but it's come loose. I had to go grab a little bit bigger breaker bar to get it to come loose, but there it goes. Like I said, sometimes it'll make a big pop noise, sometimes it just slides off hard like that. Once you get that part loose, you can back the clutch puller out. And one thing to remember on this style of clutch is, when you're carrying the clutch around or moving around, make sure you got both halves in your hand. Otherwise you might be walking across and they might slide apart and you'll break your clutch. So.